We look back at television in January of 1986. Now is theatre nostalgia time. First up, Head Office. The movie actually hit screens in December 29, 1985 in Canada, but didn't have its theatrical release in the United States date until January 3rd, 1986.
Sounds all right if you can pull it off.
This is like if someone made a Funhouse Mirror version of corporate America.
So, what would you say are what are the implications?
You've got this normal guy, Jack, who gets hired at a giant conglomerate and suddenly rockets up the ladder. The higher he goes, the stranger it gets.
Someone said the guy who was in here died.
Died!
Executives who sound completely insane, but also kind of like real CEOs, backroom deals, political blackmail, all played just a bit too big. That's what's wacky about it. Underneath the absurdity, you recognize real office nonsense and corporate greed. So the jokes land and the satire actually stings.
God, it's weird.
On January 10th, 1986, we slide into Black Moon Rising. This one sounds like something a 12-year-old would pitch, and somehow Hollywood said yes. A professional thief hides secret data inside a high-tech supercar. Then a gang of car thieves steals that car, so he has to team up with a hotshot car thief to steal the supercar back from a fortress-like high-rise full of stolen vehicles. It's ridiculous in the best way. The whole story is built around this one impossible car. And that wacky premise gives the movie an excuse for all the fun stuff. Neon-soaked nights, over-engineered security systems, wild stunts, and a pulpy comic book vibe. It's not trying to be realistic. It's trying to be cool. And now, Iron Eagle. One of the three we are looking back at that was released on January 17th, 1986. If you ever fantasize as a kid about flying a fighter jet to fix your problems, this is your movie. A teenager finds out his dad, a US pilot, has been shot down and sentenced to die in some hostile country. The grown-ups move too slowly, so he basically says, "Fine, I'll do it myself." Teams up with a veteran pilot, and they steal fighter jets. There are mixtapes blasting in the cockpit during combat. It is completely insane. But that's the secret sauce. It's pure wish fulfillment. The movie doesn't care about realism. It cares about how awesome it feels to watch a kid do the impossible for his dad. The absurdity becomes a feature.
Now, how the hell do you know what you need for this?
Next, the wonderfully odd troll. This is the kind of movie where you start describing it and people think you're making it up. A troll sneaks into an apartment building, possesses a girl, and slowly transforms each apartment into a chunk of some fairy tale forest full of weird creatures. Her brother is the only one who figures it out, and he teams up with a witchy neighbor to fight this creature. On top of that, the kid's name is Harry Potter, years before the other one. It's part kiddie fantasy, part cheap monster movie, part strange urban fairy tale. It's not slick or polished, but that mixture is exactly why people still talk about it. Then we go full serious with The Clan of the Cave Bear. This one is not your typical 80s popcorn flick. It's a straight-faced prehistoric drama about a Cro-Magnon girl adopted by a Neanderthal clan, constantly clashing with their traditions and with a future leader who's terrified of how different and capable she is. Just brutal survival, cultural rules, and harsh landscapes. That seriousness is what makes it interesting. It feels like someone genuinely tried to imagine how alien and unforgiving that world would have been. And that unusual choice gives the movie a unique, immersive vibe.
What do you want?
Job.
Doing what?
Driving.
Driving what?
Big black limousines. Woo, baby!
Let's swing into rom-com territory on January 24th, 1986 with My Chauffeur. Here, the weirdness comes from treating a limousine company like a tiny kingdom that gets shaken up when a chaotic young woman shows up as a driver. The place is full of snobs and chauvinists who think women shouldn't do the job, and she just barrels through all their unspoken rules. The situations get exaggerated. Ridiculous clients, obnoxious bosses, an uptight rich guy who wants no part of her. But that over-the-top setup is what makes the movie fun. The class clash and gender clash give the comedy teeth, And when the romance kicks in, it feels like she's not just winning over a guy, she's poking holes in an entire snobby bubble.
What you see here is not an ape. He is the last of a very ignorant form of Homo sapien.
Down and Out in Beverly Hills was then released on January 31st, 1986, as the first film we look at from this date's trio of releases. This one starts in a really wild way. A homeless man tries to drown himself in the pool of a super-rich Beverly Hills family. They drag him out, feel guilty, and let him stay. From there, the whole movie becomes this weird social experiment. His presence exposes every crack in the family's perfect facade. Cheating, anxiety, insecurity, all the stuff money can't fix. The wacky part is the collision. Street-level desperation crashing into manicured, gated luxury. It shouldn't work, but it does because the film uses that absurd setup to poke fun at 80s excess. On the ice, we've got Youngblood. This is a sports movie that basically says, being talented isn't enough. You also have to be able to punch someone in the face. A skilled but soft farm kid joins a rough Canadian junior hockey team and gets absolutely wrecked, physically and mentally. The movie leans hard into the idea that he has to toughen up, learn to fight, and embrace the gritty side of the sport before he can truly succeed.
Get him a uniform.
Better make it extra small, Fraser.
It's as much about violence and toughness as it is about skill and teamwork. But that exaggeration gives the story its punch. By the time he finally stands up to the league's goon, it feels like he's earned his place. And the big game actually matters. Finally, the best of times.
I was waiting for the right time, but there is no right time.
Here's the strange hook. The entire emotional weight of this guy's life is hanging on one drop pass from a high school football game years ago.
Now, do I hear the variable mortgage interest rates coming down?
It sounds silly at first. Who cares about a single play? But the movie leans into that obsession so hard that it becomes really relatable. He convinces the old quarterback and the whole town to replay the game, just to get a chance at redemption. The wackiness comes from how seriously everyone eventually takes this do-over, like they're rewriting history. And that's exactly why it works. It turns a small, almost trivial regret into something big and cathartic. It's funny, but when that second chance finally comes, you kind of feel it in your gut.
You ain't had hot nuts in 50 years!
So, if you were scrolling through a 80s video shelf and someone pointed at these titles, the pitch would be, they're all a little warped. A troll in an apartment building, a kid stealing a jet, a homeless guy healing a rich family, a corporate ladder that looks like a madhouse. But that wackiness is precisely what makes January 1986 such a fun little snapshot of cinema.